Let's get talking. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with your boy Carl E. Long. I am Carl E. Long, coming to you today with episode 45 of the podcast. Guys. Yes, this is what we're doing today. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about, guys. Just a lot to talk about. And what is going on here is I have been watching Donald Trump and just kind of really trying to figure out who this guy really is. You know, because it's baffling what we're going through as a country right now, because it's getting extremely scary, very scary. So one of the things I've always wanted to do was to watch that movie, the one that he didn't like called The Apprentice that came out in 2024. That came out. So I was trying to wait until it got to be free. It still wasn't free. So I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and rent it. It was only like $3.99 for 48 hours. So I went ahead and rented the movie. I rented the movie, and I just want to learn more about Donald Trump and what we're up against. Because based on what I saw in that one movie, guys, this is going to be something hard to crack. I don't think we're going to be able to get past what is happening right now. I just don't think we're going to be able to get over this, because the way this guy is moving and the way he's trained to move and what his agenda is, this is bigger than us. It is bigger than us. So I have just been looking, and then I looked at Abby Phillip, my favorite show on CNN, the Roundtable Show, and there was a discussion on being an autocracy. All right. So what is an autocracy as a country? An autocracy is a system of government in which one person holds absolute power and authority over the state without being constitutionally responsible to the people or bound by laws in the same way as in democratic systems. Now, here's some key points on being an autocracy. Power is centralized in a single leader, like a dictator, a monarch, or a ruler. The leader makes laws and decisions without needing approval from citizens, parliaments, or other governing bodies. Sound familiar so far? Citizens typically have little to no political freedom or ability to challenge the ruler's authority. And examples, past and present, include absolute monarchies, dictatorships, and some one-party states. In short, in an autocracy, one person rules with unchecked power. Now, y'all might think that's a little bit too far-fetched for Donald Trump, but I mean, he's checking all the buttons. He is checking all the buttons. So let's just do like a comparison of autocracy and a dictatorship and a monarchy. So an autocracy is a broad term, is for any government where one person holds unlimited power. Can be a king, a dictator, an emperor, or even a modern strong leader. The key straight, the ruler's power is not meaningfully limited by laws, constitution, or the people. Donald Trump is challenging every law that we have, guys, every single one. A dictatorship is a type of autocracy where one person seizes and maintains power through force, manipulation, suppression, or opposition. The military. Citizens usually have no political freedoms, usually propaganda citizenship. An example of that person would have been like Adolf Hitler. You know, he hates being compared to that. And then there's the monarchy, a government ruled by a king, queen, emperor, a similar hereditary ruler. There's an absolute monarchy, autocracy. The monarch has unlimited power. And then there's the constitutional, where the monarchs are limited by law and real authority rests with elected officials. That's like the United Kingdom has, the prime minister. So they're like that kind. So we have this kind of thing that is going on in our country. and nobody wants to really talk about it. And all the Republicans are saying he's just going there doing what the people want. Is he? Is he really doing what the people want? This is getting extremely scary, guys. So I want you to listen to this exchange on Abby Phillips' show with S.E. Cupp. She's a strategist. She says she's more of a journalist, but let's just listen to what she says when she's posed with a question from Abby Phillips. Here we go.
Been at this level. If this is a 10, they've been at a 10 for a while now. But there are some people, and I think one of them is the person that Ezra Klein was talking to in that podcast, Radley Balco, and even President Obama, who have been kind of reluctant to go there. But they're going there now. I mean, do you see that shift happening?
Definitely. It's definitely happening. You see complete moral collapse of the United States government. The cabinet meeting with 3.5 hours of superficial praise is so cringeworthy. He's attacking the Fed. He's attacking all of our institutions. He's eliminating FEMA. It is horrifying that he is putting troops against American citizens because he claims that he's the law and order president. But we all know that's a lie because he's a convicted felon. He pardons convicted felons. He surrounds himself with obsequious people that kiss his ass all day, every day. It's nauseating and painful to see how weak he is to Vladimir Putin and others.
I mean, what do you think about all of this? I mean, a lot of people say that alarmism doesn't help Democrats, but there are also things happening that Trump is doing that are alarming even conservatives.
Well, alarmism alone doesn't do anything, and I think Democrats have gotten very good at correctly identifying the problem, naming the problem, whether it's fascism or authoritarianism. This is all true.
Do you think that's an accurate description of what is happening right now?
Absolutely, without question. We've had many conversations at this table. Bill Maher ticked down some examples. But so what? And what? And what next? The conversations I don't hear Democrats having is what we're going to do about it. It can't just be Gavin Newsom tweeting like the president does. That's not it. It can't be sit-ins and protests. If Democrats want to combat this and get a chance at another election, and I understand where Bill Maher is going with this, that like elections might not happen in future years if this continues. They've got to win. They've got to win elections. And no one in the party, and I talk to Democrats all day long, no one is talking about where's our agenda? Where's our New Deal, our contract with America? What's our platform to identify and solve the problems that Americans are screaming they have? Only Trump is saying, here's my answer for them. We don't like the answers, but he's answering them. Democrats aren't even asking the question. They're just naming the problem over and over again in an echo chamber.
You can make an argument that naming the problem is not an unreasonable thing to do because there are some people who are, I think the analogy is like a frog boiling slowly in water, that you don't really notice what's happening until it's...
Oh, we all notice it. Who's not noticing it?
Some people,
everyone notices it.
A couple people at the table here probably disagree, so
But I'm not talking to them, I'm talking to Democrats.
We'll get their views in just a second, but go ahead, Dante.
Democrats is, how do you attack it? Because Donald Trump does not operate politically. He does not operate within the structure of our government as it was put together and as it functioned for hundreds of years. He operates outside of that.
But are there other options than attacking Donald Trump?
Not be political, to step aside and say, I'm going to ignore the rule of law. I'm going to tell people if a judge rules against me, that judge is a bad person and not to listen to him. I don't know if we want Democrats to join in that fight, but there has to be a way to combat it.
No one's saying that, but for 3 election cycles, the Democratic plan seems to have been let Trump hang himself and go after Trump. This isn't about Trump. The voters need to be talked to in ways that aren't Democrats sneering at them, saying, you're safe, look at this graph. The economy's great, look at these numbers.
That may be
but that's exactly what Democrats are doing. They're doing it with illegal immigrants, they're doing it with crime, and they're doing it with the government. You said it's the way government functions. A supermajority of the American people say government is dysfunctional. They don't trust government. Go back to the Ike LBJ days, and trust in government was in the 70s. Today, it's in the 30s. The low water mark, and I think it's delicious that Barack Obama is weighing in, the low water mark during the era was 10% when Barack Obama was president. Only 10% of Americans trusted government. That's what propelled Donald Trump into the White House. He's being responsive to the problems that Americans are
But you
facing.
can't trust government.
And he's enforcing the laws that are on the books.
We can talk
Putting
about
troops
those
in
numbers.
Washington is the law.
You
He
can't
has
trust
the right to
government
do
when they
that.
call in Republican leaders from Indiana and say, hey, you have to figure out a way to redistrict so that we can get more seats. That's not how
And
government
is
is supposed to
100%
work.
legal in the state of Indiana. You can do that. There's no prohibition. Now, whether they will do it or not,
I think this
I don't
is
know.
hold on.
Don't
This
you
is,
think
this
that
is
erodes
actually
trust
key.
in government?
This is a very key point that you just brought up. I mean, whether it's Indiana or anything else that Trump is doing, DC, lots of things are permissible. But many presidents, many political figures before Trump did not do them because in this country, you have choices here, right? There are laws on the books that allow you to do certain things, and many politicians say, we're not going to go there because, let's say, hypothetically, that's reserved for extreme circumstances. I think what people are responding to right now is Trump looking at all those things and saying, I'm going to do what, as you said, whatever I want, if there is any inkling of a chance that I have the power to do it.
Well, he is exercising political power, and as Pete pointed out about the redistricting, it is legal to do. I think the National Guard in Washington, D.C. not only is legal, but I think even the mayor of Washington, D.C. this week has said, hey, it seems to be working. So I think the alarmism from Trump's biggest detractors is the same kind of rhetoric and alarmism that they were sounding back in September and October during the election. And how did the American people respond to it then? They voted for Donald Trump. The way you solve all problems in a political system is you go out and try to win an election.
Yeah.
But you can't do redistricting and changing the rules so that
sure you can.
the votes
He doesn't want to run
Sure you
another
can.
election.
Democrats did not win the last election for a reason. They may not win the next one for a reason. And so in a political system, you have to trust the voters. The voters elected Donald Trump. He's basically running the play that he laid out. And yes, I understand the whining and alarmism now, but the way you solve all your problems in politics is to convince people that you are right and they are wrong, and you do it at the ballot box.
So what do you think about that conversation? What do you think about that conversation? So here we are at a table, and we've got S.E. Cupp, journalist, very well centrist. She's more of a centrist. She doesn't say she's Republican. She doesn't say she's Democrat. But she's sitting there sneering at Democrats as to what we're not doing. Then tell us, what do we do, S.E. Cupp? You can always point out everything they're not doing, but what would be the solution? I mean, you're the journalist that writes these stories. You're somewhat of a strategist. What does one do when you're working with someone who is not following the rule of law? We normally fight him with laws, but they don't matter. We are getting to a point now where it could get very, very crazy. And like Scott Jennings said, you go out and you win elections, but based on what I'm hearing about the 2024 election and what could possibly happen, I'm afraid. I mean, there's a possibility that the 2024 election was compromised. And we're waiting for a ruling out of Rockville, New York, to find out if that really happened. Because there was a federal judge that sent one of those cases to court. So, is elections the way to do this now? What do we do? I personally like what Gavin Newsom is doing, fighting Trump with his own stuff. And hearing him come back and denounce stuff that he did. Also, it's the same thing that you did, dear Donald. I'm loving Gavin Newsom and what he's doing. Everybody thinks that's funny. So how do you fight them? How do we as Democrats fight this engine? Y'all say at the ballot box, I don't trust that anymore now. I just don't. How can you trust anything with the government with the way things are going? With the way things are going, how do we trust the government anymore? I'm afraid. So I went ahead and watched that movie, The Apprentice. Yes, I did. So I'm going to be reviewing The Apprentice. It's a movie directed by Ali Abbasi. This film takes us into Donald Trump's early years and his toxic mentorship under Roy Cohn. It's not just a political biopic. It's a dark, psychological story of ambition and corruption. I mean, first the performances of course, Sebastian Stan. He played Donald Trump, and then and the mannerisms. He just has Trump's lips. He talks like him. He was just like him. It was eerie. I mean, the ambition. You know, you could see all that power. And then, of course, there was Jeremy Strong. Jeremy Strong came from Secession as Roy Cohn. He was equally powerful in this movie. He's slick, he's manipulative, and he's terrifying, if you know anything about Roy Cohn, which we're going to talk about. But every scene between Stan and Strong crackles you with tension. I mean, it's a twisted bromance, guys, in the heart of this movie. It's weird, you know. And then it's the whole Cohn and Trump dynamic. Cohn becomes Trump's teacher, and he teaches him stuff like attack, 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 deny, 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 never apologize. This is what he teaches Trump. And we know right now that Trump has already absorbed that playbook. He's doing all those things. Yeah. And then third, the way the look of the film kind of captures the 70s and the 80s of New York, and I thought it was done really well as a film. I mean, it did have some minor parts that got kind of slow. The whole Ivanka story wasn't totally clear. It's Ivana. I'm sorry, not Ivanka. Ivana. And the cinematography makes it feel really good and gritty. It looks good. Now, it's got some dark humor in it, and it's kind of weird when you watch it. But it's a satire, but it's very revealing. Now, the first half was very sharp and focused, and we knew exactly what was going on. But after that time, and when it jumps into the 80s, the story gets kind of scattered, and you're like, what are they telling us now? They're just trying to show a lot of headlines and things of that nature. But all in all, the film is good. It really is a good film to just kind of get an eye into where this man comes from. I mean, it comes from his family, but, you know, it's unsettling at one part, but it's showing how Roy Cohn shaped Donald Trump's ruthless playbook. I mean, it's a chilling look at how ambition mixed with the wrong mentor can shape a man, you know. So if you want to see a dark film about Donald Trump, this is one he did not like. This one really, really delivers. So it is on Prime Video right now. You still have to rent it. You can rent it for like $3.99 for 48 hours. So that's why I just want you to watch this film. So let me play you some little information about the film, and then we'll come back here and discuss it.
Meet you.
And guiding
Trump, nice to meet you.
And guiding him every step of the way, none other than Roy Cohn, portrayed by Jeremy Strong. Cohn, for those who don't know, was a notorious lawyer, famous for being ruthless and manipulative, but also secretly dealing with his own struggles as a closeted gay man. That combination, it makes for some serious drama on screen.
The first rule is the simplest: attack, attack.
The film was written by political journalist Gabriel Sherman, who covered Trump's 2016 run and explored his toxic relationship with Roy Cohn. Sherman says Trump learned everything from Cohn: his ruthless strategies, behavior, even his way of speaking. People close to Trump since the 80s confirm this, making the movie even more controversial.
It's going to be the finest building in the country, in the world. It's going to be spectacular.
Unsurprisingly, Trump's team is not thrilled about it. In fact, his 2024 campaign has already threatened to sue the filmmakers. They're calling the movie pure malicious defamation and say it shouldn't see the light of day. Ouch.
You are fake news.
Here's where it gets interesting. Some parts of the film leave the audience questioning what's real and what's not. One big question is whether Trump truly betrayed his mentor, Roy Cohn.
I don't need your money. You'll pay me back with your friendship, okay? Quid pro quo. You'll be a friend to me, I'll be a friend to you.
For context, Cohn passed away in 1986 from AIDS complications, and before he died, Trump invited him to his Palm Beach home for what was supposed to be a heartfelt farewell dinner. Trump even gave him fake diamond cufflinks as a gift. Fake cufflinks? Yeah, that really happened.
You don't think about carrots?
No.
I bet you do. I bet you know exactly how many carrots.
I do, actually.
Sherman himself confirmed that scene was true, saying, "A lot of scenes in this movie seem so crazy that you think maybe a screenwriter invented them, but there's actually a record of them happening." In the film, Cohn is shown expressing deep regret for mentoring Trump. Wayne Barrett, a reporter for The Village Voice, quoted Roy saying how betrayed he felt. Trump distanced himself from Roy as he was dying from AIDS, Sherman explains.
Feel that much public curiosity as to whether I had AIDS?
That is the question that everybody asks.
That's amazing. My doctors have gone on record.
Apparently, Cohn was heartbroken, telling people, "I can't believe he's doing this to me. Donald pisses ice water." Wow. If someone as ruthless as Roy Cohn can feel betrayed by Trump, what does that say about Donald?
Please don't be too nice.
And just when you think that's all, now we see the tables turning, with Trump's relationship with none other than Elon Musk being the latest roller coaster. But is Musk really his friend, or is there more going on? Stick around. We're going to try to figure that one out together. Over the last few years, the tech mogul has invested heavily in Trump's political comeback, even founding a super PAC to support his re-election efforts.
If he loses, man, what? If he loses, I'm
A recent investigation by the Wall Street Journal.
All right, so that's my little deal on the movie itself. It was really good, and you should really take a look at it. Roy Cohn is a great American figure, and I don't mean great because he was very ruthless. Came out of the McCarthy era, and we'll talk about him a little bit more here. But I want you to listen to this video from Abby Phillip on Trump retribution as to what he's actually doing. And it's like, why do people keep standing behind what he's doing? He's going after all his enemies. And we're sitting back going, well, he has a right. He has a right? Is this right? Is the question. Is this right? Why are we allowing this to be normalized? I have no idea, but we're losing control of our country. And Donald Trump is, I'm sad to say it, is winning. So we got to figure out what we're going to have to do with this guy. Let's listen to this video and we'll come back.
Let me tell you about somebody you've probably never heard of. Let me tell you about somebody you've probably never heard of who's become central to Donald Trump's efforts to seek retribution against his perceived political enemies. His name is Bill Pulte. He is the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. He's just 37 years old. He is a wealthy businessman and somebody who has experience in the housing industry. But what he's been doing since he was appointed to that role by President Trump is carrying out a pretty concerted campaign against several key figures who were involved in some of Trump's legal troubles when he was not in office. The first of which is Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York. Bill Pulte sent a referral to DOJ for mortgage fraud against Letitia James. He did the same for Senator Adam Schiff of California, who was involved in the January 6th committee. And now, you've seen it in the headlines, Lisa Cook, the Federal Reserve Board governor, who Trump has targeted for removal, has also been referred to DOJ by Bill Pulte because of allegations of mortgage fraud. Now, Pulte has made it very clear on social media, where he has 3 million followers, that he is going to aggressively go after mortgage fraud. He has used his Twitter account to repeatedly go after Lisa Cook publicly. He's tweeted out documents that allege that she falsified documents on her mortgage application. And he also has indicated support for Donald Trump's other goal, which is to get the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. He said in the beginning of this process of publicizing the allegations against Lisa Cook that Cook should resign from the Fed board immediately. Bill Pulte has taken a job that is pretty obscure, that typically is reserved for people who have very specific niche knowledge of the mortgage industry, of the finance industry, and he's turned it into a powerful position for a bulldog for Donald Trump's agenda.
So, Donald Trump's agenda, guys. We are not even been a year yet. I don't know how much of this we can take. I don't know how much more of this we can take. Our country is just slowly falling to this guy, and he's setting himself up to stay in the White House. This man is actually setting himself up to stay in the White House because he believes that he is the superior leader of all of America. And when you look back at this movie, Donald Trump had this twisted view of patriotism and being an American, and him and his father and his family, they were a strange breed. Yeah, it's a strange breed, and to know where they're coming from is crazy. It really is crazy. So, why I believe Trump is steering America toward an autocracy is when I look at Donald Trump's actions. I mean, I see a pattern that feels familiar in history. I mean, it's a pattern of a leader pushing a country toward an autocracy. And an autocracy means one person holds power, right? With little to no checks or limits. Donald's doing that. Everything's executive order. And Trump's behavior is clear signs of that direction. Okay, let's first look at the 2020 election. Instead of accepting defeat, what does he do? He spreads false claims of fraud. Roy Cohn tells him, deny, deny, deny. Just lie about it, pretty much. I mean, he pressures officials to find votes, Then he tried to block Congress from certifying the results. That's not respecting democracy, people. And we just kind of let this glaze over, all this stuff like that. So that's not respecting democracy. That's rejecting it. Yeah. Second, Trump has attacked just about various institutions meant to hold leaders accountable. I mean, he's attacked the very institutions that's supposed to hold leaders accountable. I mean, he calls the press the enemy of the people. Right? He lashes out at judges who rule against him. I mean, he even undermines the federal law enforcement. He pardoned all those January 6ers. So, what's the deal? So by doing this, he weakens trust in our system. And he tries to put himself like way above it. That's what he's doing. And thirdly, look at who he admires. Putin, Kim Jong-un, other strong men. He often praises them, right? I mean, he even sides with some of their stories and their own intelligence agencies. Those are not people we want to be standing next to, Donald Trump. I mean, that's a worldwide view where unchecked power is the goal. Those are the countries that do that sort of stuff. Why is Donald hanging out with these people? And then fourth, Trump wants to push his opponents. He talks about jailing his rival. We just talked about what Abby has talking about. I mean, in a democracy, opponents compete. In an autocracy, opponents are crushed. I mean, that's the road that he's on right now. So, he once says that 2 of the constitutions gives him the right to do whatever I want as president. Do you remember that? He's even joked about being a dictator for a day, and he jokes like that. I mean, he's just planting dangerous seeds. I mean, he says he was joking, but was he really? So where does this mindset come from? A big piece of the answer is Roy Cohn. Cohn was Trump's lawyer and his mentor in the 1970s and 80s. I mean, he was already famous as being Senator McCarthy's right-hand man during the Red Scare and the anti-communist hearings. He was his right-hand man, so we already know where he came from. I mean, his style was ruthless. Smear your enemies, never meant defeat, and attack harder than you are attacked. So when Trump is faced with his first major lawsuit, Cohn told him to never settle, never admit guilt, and counterattack. Donald Trump has basically been following that advice, and it's won him more headlines than he's lost. I mean, he's winning. He's winning. Now, from Cohn, Trump learned 3 rules. Deny everything, counteract aggressively, and never apologize. I don't think I've ever seen Donald Trump apologize for anything. Nothing about it. Wow. Now these became the core of Trump's playbook, right? I mean, even after Roy Cohn's death, I mean, Donald Trump kept using these tactics like relentless attacks, refusing to concede defeat. I mean, a win at all cost mentality. It put all of this together. I mean, rejecting election results. This is crazy. And weakening institutions. He's brought in some of the other people. And then claiming unlimited power. Now, using Roy Cohn's ruthless tactics as his guide, this has been a recipe for autocracy. And that's why I believe Trump is steering America in that direction. Yeah. When democracy begins to slip into an autocracy, it's very hard to pull it back. So that's why this moment right now is needed. It is needed. So I want to tell you a little bit about Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn. Well, back in the 1950s, Roy Cohn was born in 1927 in New York City. By the age of 20, he had graduated from Columbia Law School and quickly rose to prominence as a federal prosecutor. And that was during the Rosenberg trial. His big break came in 1951 when he helped convict Julius and Ethel Rosenberg for espionage. Yeah. It was a controversial case that made him a national figure. It made him a national figure. I got some little slides I'm going to show you while I'm talking. It made him a national figure. Cohn became, where's my thing here? Cohn became chief counsel to Senator Joseph McCarthy during the Red Scare. He was the chief architect of McCarthyism, using intimidation, baseless accusation, and media manipulation to purge suspected communists from government. Now, this is what he did. First of all, there was the Lavender Scare. The Lavender Scare was about trying to find LGBT people in government. Ironically, Cohn, who was supposedly gay, right, played a key role in the Lavender Scare, targeting LGBT plus Q plus individuals in government, despite being closeted himself. After McCarthy's fall, Cohn returned to New York and became a lawyer for the rich and powerful, including mafia bosses and celebrities. Okay? Cohn met a brash young developer named Donald Trump. Their bond was instant and strategic. Yes. Roy Cohn, he's known as the man who made Donald Trump's legal and medical tactics. Thank you, Roy Cohn. He's gone on to glory, too. Cohn taught Trump never to admit fault, always counterattack, and use the press as a weapon. I don't know about this Roy Cohn guy. This was a mess, guys. This was a mess. So, Trump has always said that Roy Cohn was a brutal, but he was a genius. But when he was dying of AIDS, Trump distanced himself from him. Yeah. And basically left the man to die. So on today, the question I asked, do you think there is anything that we can do as a nation to stop Donald Trump? I don't know that there is. I don't know that there is, because so far he's getting just about everything that he wants. And that's scary. So we got to decide and figure out how we're going to retain this democracy and get people back to where they need to be and get this country back on the right track. Because without somebody guiding us to do this thing, it's going to be hard. All right. So that is my podcast for today on being in autocracy and how Donald Trump is starting to change this whole country. And we need to wake up, guys. We need to wake up and figure something out. All right? Everybody have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast. Bye now.